We're happy to have him with us today. Pascal, welcome to the show.
Hi, John. I greet you. Greetings to the United States, all you wonderful people and the audience, and of course, all the people around the world who are following you, and there's a tremendous amount of them, I learned.
Thank you very much for that. Pascal, I would like to begin with what might have been a trigger for your whistleblowing. You come from a very important Bahraini family, and your Swiss side is equally important. You're a direct descendant of a former Swiss president, as a matter of fact. You were headed toward quite a predictable career in international banking, and that's how things started out for you. When and why did that change? What exactly was the trigger?
The duty call came when I found out what they have done to us since 2020. And by the way, I have observed as a Swiss not only Switzerland going down the drain. Unfortunately, I had to observe, and that saddens me a lot, and the United States of America going down the drain and becoming insecure. The last what the world wants is an insecure United States. We need a strong, healthy, wealthy, self-competent, not warmongering United States to keep peace. It's the way your president is managing things. That isn't Trump, that is. So, you see, I don't need, that's the point. We don't need likes. Sorry, I don't need, don't get me wrong, sir. I don't talk about you. I said, I don't need your likes. I don't need them anymore.
You build up some delayed courage. Should have done it before, should have done it with us, as we asked. Go to the strait and just take it, protect it, use it for yourselves.
Macron says that's unrealistic. And to be honest, he's right. The French and the Europeans have been AWOL since World War II. It's America's job to control the water. We're the only country with a real navy. They're out of shape. And instead of getting off the couch, they're bitter. And the strait's closed, and they're blaming us instead of the mullahs. One White House source told Politico, quote, "It's like these mother effers always talk about Article 5. Okay, well, Iran has been blowing up our soldiers and ripping their wings off for, half a century. And we finally responded. And now they're going after all our major non-NATO allies in the United States. And you guys are saying not only you're not going to help, but you're closing your airspace to us? Really? But it's a quagmire. Iran president says, think again.
World War II lasted for 3 years, 8 months, and 25 days. The Vietnam War lasted for 19 years, 5 months, and 29 days. Iraq went on for 8 years, 8 months, and 28 days. We are in this military operation, so powerful, so brilliant, against one of the most powerful countries for 32 days. And the country has been eviscerated and essentially is really no longer a threat.
So here's how this ends. I would ask President Trump to do a forced posture reevaluation of our presence in Europe. I would move our bases out of Spain because they're an unreliable country. I would be looking at reducing the number of troops we have in Europe. I would be looking at repositioning these troops in countries that are more favorable to the United States. I never thought I'd hear myself say that. And why am I saying it? They were tested. When we needed them the most, and when the world needed them the most, to stop a religious Nazi regime from having a nuclear breakout, they took a pass. And not only did they take a pass, they said things that will offend me until my dying day. That this is not our problem. This is Trump's problem. A nuclear-armed Iran is the world's problem. It's humanity's problem. And when you deny us the ability to operate from bases that we have in your country to deal with the biggest threat on the planet, a nuclear-armed Ayatollah, then we need to reevaluate where those bases are, and we need to reposition our forces. And I would bring some forces home from Europe and make them do more. As to the Strait of Hormuz, you need to clear the straits if you're Europe. But NATO will look different after tomorrow than it did tonight. And I support a force repositioning, reposturing initiative for Europe. And I never thought I'd hear myself say that. But after what they did to us when we're trying to deal with the biggest threat on the planet, a nuclear-armed Ayatollah, they made it so much harder on us. They put our people at risk. They made our pilots fly longer. They denied us capability. I will never look at Europe the same.
I think that there's going to be a reevaluation, and I believe America's contribution just went down dramatically, and we'll know more in the weeks ahead. as this now begins to wrap up. Senator Graham, we appreciate you being with us.
So everything's on the table. The president using a lot of misdirection to keep the gay Ayatollah guessing. And even Wall Street, who took it on the chin in March, is on board. Here's Jamie Dimon.
They've been killing people around the world for 45 plus years. They've killed a lot of Americans. They funded not just Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis. They have terrorist cells here. They were about to get their ballistic missiles. Does it create all this uncertainty? Absolutely. Does it create more short-term risk with the oil prices? Absolutely. I'm praying it ends well. But having those folks, their throat on the Straits of Hormuz and funding all these proxy wars, why the Western world put up these proxy wars for 45 years, is kind of beyond me.
The only ones not on board? The Europeans. The Brits say they're only sending in the Royal Navy when the hostilities are over.
Whatever the pressure on me and others, whatever the noise, I'm going to act in the British national interest in all the decisions that I make. And that's why I've been absolutely clear that this is not our war, and we're not going to get dragged into it.
Trump dismissed the prime minister, saying, he says, I'm not going to tell him what to do. He can do whatever he wants. Doesn't matter. All Starmer wants is costly windmills that are driving your energy prices through the roof. The Germans said, it's not our war. The French won't let us use their airspace. And the Italians and Spanish are being a little persnickety with their bases. So we've saved the continent from 2 world wars, bailed them out with the Marshall Plan, armed Ukraine, and now we can't use a base that we paid for while we're finishing off the world's #1 state sponsor of terror and opening up a strait where the Europeans get a quarter of their oil and we get nothing. Rubio's starting to ask questions.
Why are we in NATO? You have to ask that question. Why do we have billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars over the years, trillions of dollars, and all these American forces stationed in the region if we can only use, in our time of need, we're not going to be allowed to use those bases?
The president's thinking twice about NATO, too. He says he's considering leaving it. And tonight, Trump's expected to blast them in prime time, saying, quote, I'll be discussing my disgust with NATO. They haven't been friends when we needed them. We never asked them for much. It's a one-way street.
How will it operate? Well, I may have a plan or I may not, but how would I ever say that to a reporter? If I said that to a reporter, Marco would say, please, sir, let's bring you over to the helicopter immediately. Right? No, I can't tell you that. It's certainly a place that's people are talking about, but I can't say.
And we had in our hemisphere a regime operated by an indicted narco-trafficker that became a base of operation for virtually every competitor, adversary, and enemy in the world. It was, for Iran, their primary spot of operation in the Western Hemisphere was Venezuela. For Russia, their primary base of operation in the Western Hemisphere, along Cuba and Nicaragua, was Venezuela. In the case of China, China was receiving oil at a huge, about $20 a barrel discount. And they weren't even paying money for it. It was being used to pay down debt that they were owed. This is the oil of the people of Venezuela, and it was being given to the Chinese as barter at a 20%, at a $20 discount per barrel in some cases. And so you had basically 3 of our primary opponents in the world operating from our hemisphere from that spot.
U.S. President Donald Trump hosted Latin American leaders in Florida on Saturday to announce the formation of a military coalition against drug cartels.
The heart of our agreement is a commitment to using lethal military force to destroy the sinister cartels and terrorist networks once and for all. We'll get rid of them.
At least a dozen.
War in this context and in pursuit of peace is necessary.
Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They're not the bully of the Middle East anymore.